Okay, so the exercise that we're about to do is called a banded hip thruster. There are a few variations of this exercise that you can do depending on the equipment that you have available and the specific need or the reason that you might be doing this exercise. Some of the reasons that you might incorporate an exercise like this into your workout routine, it can be a warm-up exercise, in which case you would be looking to do rep ranges of about 6 to 10 reps where you're not fatiguing the muscle too much, but you're priming it and activating it well enough for any of the compound lifts that you might be completing. The focus of an exercise like a banded hip thruster is to activate your glutes, create lumbo-pelvic stability, so stability through your lower back and your hips, and you're teaching those two parts of your body to work together so that you avoid any injuries that might happen if you're loading up the body a little bit heavier. If you're doing this exercise as an individual exercise on its own, or if you're a beginner in terms of any weight training that you might be doing or any resistance work that you might be doing, you can take it up to rep ranges of 15 to 20 depending on your strength level. Either way, you're going to have pretty good benefits from this one. The muscle groups that we're trying to activate here is your core, so a lot of your core muscles. There's a heavy focus on the glutes and the external rotators of the hip joint as well. So we're going to start off with the banded hip hinge on the floor. This exercise done on the floor or on a bench, you're going to get similar benefits to it. So I'm going to get Svet to set up having a lie down on his back with his feet flat on the floor. So just have a lie down through here. Good. And what we're looking for here, we don't want the feet to be too far in front, okay? And we don't need to be all the way back where we're getting too much flexion, and then as we come up into this exercise, we're going to be sliding back, okay? So you want to feel fairly comfortable through the knee joint like that there. What you're looking for is for your knees and your ankles to be about hip width apart, okay? A little bit wider or a little bit narrower is also okay. The second thing that we're going to do, we're going to set the band up around Svet's knees. So I'll just get you to lift one foot up for me, please. That's it. And then we're going to bring that band just above the knees. You can also do it across the knee joint as well. That tends to be fairly uncomfortable. Below the knee joint, what you might get is you're going to be rotating too much through the ankle rather than focusing the external rotation through the hips, okay? What we're looking for here, Svet, is that we're not overextending through our back as we go into this exercise here, okay? So the way that we begin, we're going to set the feet up first. What I need you thinking about, I want your hands down by your side here, head all the way back. The breathing pattern that you need to follow here, you're going to take a big breath in to prepare, and then as you start to contract through the exercise or complete the exercise, I want you to breathe out, okay? So what we're looking for here, pressure coming into the heels, slightly pushing that band outward the entire time, taking a big breath in to prepare, and then as you breathe out, so we've got the knees out, we're going to be lifting the hips up towards the ceiling, so press up. And what we're looking for here is that we're not going into too much extension through the back. So what you want to do as you come up into that top part of the movement is you want to think about drawing your glasses. So from that position there, I'm going to get you to dig your heels into the floor, thinking about pulling that band apart, and then at the same time, we're going to be lifting our lower back and bum off the floor, extending up. So pushing through the heels, extending up. As you get to that top range, what you want to try and avoid is any hyperextension through the back where we're pushing up through the lower part of the spine. So as you're coming up, you're thinking about drawing your belly button in a little bit to activate the TAs. And then from that position, we're coming back down, keeping that band pulled out the entire time, breathing in to prepare, breathing out as you extend back up, keeping the core on as you're coming up into that top range of motion. Big breath in as you come back down, keeping that band pulled out, extending up. Let's go for about 7 more reps. Good. And as you're completing this exercise, the thing that we want to add into this, as you come up into that extension, gripping the floor with your big toe, and we're connecting our foot right up to our hip as we complete this exercise. Good. And extending up.
I got 2 more.
Good. 2 more. And 1. Up nice and strong. And coming back down. Good. Okay. So another variation that we can do with this exercise, if you have a little bit more equipment available, we can do this exercise up on a bench as well. The benefit that you're going to get from this is you're going through a bigger range of motion through your hips as well. So Svet, I'll get you to pop that band off for me, please, and we'll set up a bench. Okay, so once we've set up on the bench, we're going to pop that band back around the knees again. Cool, just above the knee joint again. And what I'll get you to do is have a seat down onto the floor for me. Good. From that position, what you want to do is you want the edge of that bench resting just below your shoulder blade. So Svet, I'll get you to lift your bum off the floor a little bit, shuffle yourself back onto that bench. You can support yourself a little bit with your elbows here, just like Svet is doing, or you can just kind of go hands across your stomach or up across your chest as well. With our feet, what we're doing is we're positioning our feet about hip width apart again. Knees are about hip width apart as well. Pressure coming into the heels. The things that we want to be watching out for here, we're trying not to jack up the hip joint here. So don't worry too much about how low you're going into this position. So if you're coming up too low here, you're going to be pushing through your back a little bit. You probably get a little bit of a pinch through the hip joint there as well. So if I get you to come up just a little bit higher as your starting position, good. From there, we're thinking about pulling that band apart gently as well. Take a big breath in, and then as you're breathing out, you're pushing through the heels, extending your hips up towards the sky. Breathing out, squeezing through the glutes as you're coming into that top position. Again, we're mindful that we're not hyperextending or pushing up too much through the lower back into this position here. So breathing in as you come back down. And then as you're coming up to that top range, to avoid that hyperextension, we're drawing the belly button in a little bit, keeping the TA nice and activated. Let's go for another 10 reps there, Svet. Big breath in, pushing through the heels, bands are coming out, keeping the core on nice and strong. Breathing out as you come up, good. Bands are pulled apart. And let's start gripping the floor with your big toe as well. So as you come up into that extension, gripping the floor with your toes, band is being pulled apart, core staying on nice and strong, pushing through the glutes. If you find that you are starting to feel this exercise through the hamstrings a little bit too much, you might be loading up through the front of the foot a bit too much. So in that case, what I would be doing is decreasing the rep range, maybe 4 to 6 reps, until you start to get a little bit better in terms of connecting your feet to the ground and transferring that power up to your hips. Good, and coming all the way back down. Nice. Cool. That's it. That's the banded hip thruster on a bench completed. So like we mentioned previously, if you're looking at this exercise from a performance perspective and you're incorporating it as a strength exercise into your routine, you can work your rep ranges up to 3 to 4 sets of 15 to 20 reps. If you're doing this exercise as a warm-up, for example, for a compound lift like a squat, a deadlift, even a bench press, you're looking at not fatiguing your glutes and your hips too much. So you'd be working within rep ranges of about 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 10 reps, just to get a little bit of activation, but you're not fatiguing any of the muscles or any of the structures involved. For any more information that you would like on exercises like this, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube or follow our Instagram at ZAR Athletica. Thank you.